Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And today we have the wonderful privilege of interviewing and spending time with Methodical Joe. And I said that the right way.
You did.
Welcome. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
That's wonderful to hear. It's such an honor to have you here. Thank you for making the time. I know you are extremely busy. And I've met you, online, and we had a discussion, and then we had a virtual coffee. Now I'd like for you to explain to the audience who you are.
Who am I? That's a dangerous question. Um, I'm an entertainer. I'm a hip hop artist. I'm an actor, and I do some stand up on the side. So
Wow.
kind of all of the above.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. And we had a lovely talk about the fact that, in your childhood, there were so many things that transpired. And I found that an inspiration, to my own life because I'm busy with a lot of different projects. I do meticulous moments, but I also do publishing. I also do ghostwriting. I'm a public speaker. And I wanted to share this with you specifically today. And my teacher came to me. He was my hockey coach, but he was also my biology teacher. And he came to me one day in the hall and he said, "Juanita, I see you're busy with the athletics, you're busy with the acting, you're busy with the science club. You do the cross country, you're playing hockey with me, I'm coaching him." And I thought he was going to say, "Jack of all trades, master of none." And I've shared this in another interview, but I don't think I've shared this with you before. And instead of saying that, he said, "The more you do, the more you can do." And that set the stage for so many years up to now, where I just, when I have this idea, when I find a skill or a gift or something that I'm good at, I go for it. I don't, say, "Oh, no, no." I manage my time very well. I think that's very important, but I go for it because I believe we only live once. Now, tell us a bit about your background because you are busy with so many things. You have so many skills and talents. We would love to learn more.
Okay, I kind of grew up all over the place, up and down the East Coast. Was actually born in Germany. Was supposed to have been born in Italy, but apparently the hospital was closed that day, so they had to fly my mom to Germany. And then we went back to Italy for a couple of years, came back stateside. My mom got remarried, and my stepdad, who became my father, um, was in the army. And so every 3 to 4 years, we were packed up and moved to a different state and sometimes a different country. So it was definitely interesting.
How did it feel every time that you had to leave your friends behind, move to a new place, start all over, make new friends? What was that experience like? Was it something that was difficult in the beginning and it became easier? Or how did you experience that? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
It there was pluses and minuses. You got to meet people of all walks of life in different states, different cultures,
Yeah.
um, different cities, different upbringings. But yeah, on the minus side, you meet people, and then it's time to go. I specifically remember, I think I was about 14, and I had met a girl at a concert, and it was just this instant kid chemistry, and we were kind of like this inseparable couple immediately, and hanging out all the time, every day on the phone. That pure kid, quote unquote, in love thing was going on, and it was very short lived. I think the whole thing only lasted about 3 weeks because her father was in the military too, and they were moving. So yeah, it was very short lived. She cried, I cried, um, and so again, that was the minuses that you dealt with because you never knew how long you were going to be there, and if you know somebody else was going to move or you going to move. So you kind of just got used to it. And I think things would have been really different had I grown up in this whole technological era with, email and social media where you can keep up with people from, all countries and whatnot. We didn't have that back then. So a
Yeah.
lot of relationships, you try to write letters back in the day, and that kind of fades out. So I lost contact with a lot of friends and people that I met over the years. Um, and that, again, that's the downside of it. But I kind of got numb to it, and it just was something I got used to. Um, I don't think I got as close to people as I probably could have, because I knew it was temporary. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's just, on the other plus side of it, though, I will say that it made me more of a versatile individual.
Mm.
Um, to live in different, I mean, I lived in Japan, Hawaii, um, Virginia, Georgia, New York, Baltimore, up and down the coast, Italy. I've been to uh, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, Australia. Like, so to do that, I didn't appreciate it. As a kid, you don't really see the big picture, at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
I appreciate those moments now more as an adult than I did as a kid. And I think it's made me more of a well-rounded and versatile individual, which again then helps in the writing that I do with my music, because I can draw from those experiences and the things that I've been through.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes, absolutely. As child, we don't realize that the events that we go through are really the things that shape us. And yes, I agree with you. You are a more versatile individual because of all the exposure you've had to all of these places, all of the different people, all of the different cultures. And to me, that translates to adaptability. And if COVID showed us one thing, it's that people that are adaptable, they survive. They make a plan.
Right.
They know what to do in a situation because they have that inherent knowledge. What's next? Okay, well, this thing is not working. Let's try something else. And I think that's also
Right.
going to prove to be something that really sets you up for success. I mean, you just brought out an album. Tell us more about the album that came out in March. I'm going to make those links available when I post this. Tell us more about that. That's exciting.
Yeah, the album is called Something to Say. It came out the end of March. Um, I've been in hip hop since probably since high school. I did a really independent art album back in 2005, just trying to. It was more of a learning lesson on the process of recording and making music. But I had to sit down with Capitol Records in I think it was '06, and they liked the topics of the album, but it was very, very raw, and it needed a lot of work on the production side. And they basically were like, "Well, come back when you can get better production." And I was like, "Well, I'm here. This is Capitol Records. Why work on something?" And they weren't. That was kind of the turn of when labels weren't really doing artist development. They just wanted a package deal they could put their stamp on and distribute. So it kind of turned me off, and I kind of stepped back from the music industry for probably like 10 years. I was always writing, but I didn't record anything else. And I just kind of I got back into acting and took a swing at that. But I think it was about the end of 2019. Um, talking to I've got a 17-year-old daughter now, but talking to her back then, Matt, hey, stop it. My little guard dog.
I love
Um,
animals.
so I was talking to my child, and we were listening to the radio, and she was just over the moon over what was being played, and I was like, this is not real hip hop. So that kind of was the push that I needed to get back into the studio and work on something. And when COVID happened, that kind of gave me the outlet, because nothing, there wasn't a whole lot going on,
Yeah.
and people were in their homes and whatnot. So I was like, let me get to work. And I'd been writing for years, and there was a lot of topics within the last 3 years that had come up that I felt like needed to be talked about.
Yeah.
And so the album is called Something to Say for that reason. I felt like I had a lot to say about a lot of different topics and things.
Yeah.
So originally it was just going to be a 5-song EP, and I was just going to release it and try to shop it and call it a day. But I kept writing. My brain just wouldn't stop. And 5 songs turned into like 7 songs, and 7 turned into 10. And then all of a sudden I had like 50, I think originally it was like 55 songs that I have finished. And it was like, well, wait a minute, we have to, if we're going to do an album, we need to like trim this down. And the process of picking the original, it was supposed to be 13 songs, but my daughter wanted her song on the album, so we added that as a bonus track. But even then, picking the 14 songs out of the like 55 that I had was a very arduous process, and changed like 19 times before I finally was like, okay, these are the 14.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of how it happened. And now it's out. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback, and it was kind of the push that I needed um, to get back into music. And now I'm already starting working on the next album, which I'm planning on releasing on Valentine's Day next year, called Relationship Status.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. That's so wonderful. And I think the hardest thing for an artist to do is to narrow it down, because I actually wrote a gospel album. I think it was 2009 that I recorded in 2013. And I had a whole book full of, because I'm old school, I like to write them. I had a whole book full of
Right.
songs, and I had to choose the 13 because that's kind of the number that we stick at, as a CD. We did it as a CD. It was called Revolve
Mm-hmm.
1136. It's based on a scripture. That was the album's name. And it's so difficult to choose the songs because everything that you write and compose, you want to add it in. But I know that
Right.
it's difficult to do that. And are you now still taking the songs that you've written and composed and putting them in different albums, or are you still going to do that at some point? Because I mean, there's many others left that we want to hear.
Right. So a bulk of the songs are now that I have kind of a theme, because originally when I started putting songs on the album, they were just kind of all over the place. And I was like, well, if the album is called Something to Say, I need the songs on the album that project that. And just so that there's some kind of ebb and flow to the entire album.
Mm.
So when I started thinking about, somebody asked me, said, well, are you going to do a second album? And then I was like, well, I've got all these songs. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do a second album. And my illustrator, he does all of my album covers. He did my single covers, all the artwork. Shout out to my man Ty. He is a so talented individual, but he's also kind of my social media manager. He is always telling me to think ahead and think and plan ahead. He was like, I don't mind. I love working with you, but he's like, I need time ahead to be able to put out a professional product. And I'm so last minute with a lot of things. So I'm learning now to project and think ahead and work ahead. So right as we were finishing the album, he was already putting that bug in my ear, and he was like, well, what's the next album going to be? Let me know now so I can start working on the artwork and what's the theme and where you're going with it. And so that kind of got the wheels turning for that. And I wanted something with the songs that I had, and I was always trying to think of a catchy title for the albums, And thinking about looking at the songs that I had written and worked on, I had gone through a divorce, and a lot of songs were dedicated to relationships in general.
Oh, yes.
And then there was a couple of songs that I'd written that were about the change, and the evolution of hip hop in itself. And so I was like,
Themes.
and it just I think I was in the shower one night and I was thinking about a lot of things. It was like relationship status. Because somebody had posted something on Facebook about their relationship status and changing it, and I was like, that's a good title for an album.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's this next album is going to be about my relationship with my kid, some of the women in my life, past women, girlfriends, ex-wives, whatever, my relationship with hip hop, relationship with friends, the relationships that I have with myself, and it's all going to be comprised into one album. And it once I kind of focused and brought everything in and focused on that, the songs that I have just kind of fell into place, and I was, this works.
Yeah.
So the plus side of this next album is a lot of stuff is already finished. I just have to get some mixing, mastering done. But it won't be so long. The first album, Something to Say, took us about almost 3 years to put out. Because I was just so unorganized and I'm very ADD, and so my brain's always all over the place. And that's why it took so long. Now that I'm a little more focused and kind of know where I'm going with this, the next album won't take as long.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first one that always, it's the first one where we kind of learn the ropes. We kind of learn how
Right.
the process works. And I can't wait for the audience. I've got the links that you sent me. I can't wait for them to hear your music. And we're definitely going to look out for your second album as well. You've got so much content there. You have enough for a few more albums. So that's
I do.
wonderful.
I do.
You do.
I do. My brain is already, Ty got me thinking so far ahead
Yeah,
that I already have a title for the third album.
that's it.
It's going to be titled The Man from Everywhere and Nowhere.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and so, yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of
And with
work.
this whole new social media era, um, there's a lot more work involved, and I'm learning as I go, through every step of the process. My management company is sending me things, and I'm always having to send emails, and there's so much to do as an indie artist when you don't have a label behind you to take care of all of these miscellaneous things. I do have a great team that I work with, but a lot of things do fall, upon myself. And in the beginning of it, it was like, yo, I just want to make music. And uh now with with social media and the broadband that it can touch, I'm still learning about the marketing and the promotion side of things. And my social media manager, Ty's like, you got to post something every day. And I'm like, dude, I don't feel like I do enough. He's like, it doesn't matter. You think of when you wake up and you think about music and what you're going to do next. He's like, you need to put that out
That's
into
it.
the world. So I'm
Yeah,
still learning that piece of it. And it's a lot of work. Like I didn't, I look at some of my acting friends that post these full-on videos and they work on these things a week in advance. And you got whole camera crews and you're shooting things just for something that's
that's
like 6 minutes. And I'm like, that it's a lot of work. But it's, at the end of the day, it's once I see the final product, I'm like, okay, we can do this.
yeah, you
It's
can.
arduous, it's time consuming, but you know, it's a fun ride.
It
And I'm
really,
always one to say,
yeah.
swing for the fences. You never know where the ball's going to land, and it's either going to work or it's going to be a fun story to tell.
Yeah, that's a good outlook to have. That's a very, very good outlook to have. And I have to say, people enjoy when authentic content is being put out there. They want to see the good, the bad, the ugly. It doesn't always have to be perfect. They like that
Right.
because it's original. And I think the biggest lesson that, because I'm in marketing, I do a lot of marketing out there for lots of, leadership groups and clients as well with the empowerment coaching that I do. It's consistency. It doesn't always have to be
Right.
something big, but just being
Right.
consistent. Even if it's just a little,
Right.
message, a little message on a poster. Doesn't even have to have, it can be a question that you post to the
Right.
audience. People are just looking for that, like you've said, that engagement. And I want
That
to ask
engagement, that
you,
connection.
that's it, that's it. I want to ask you, you went through your childhood, you would settle in a place, you would have to move. Today, you are an adaptable human being with so many skills and talents. You do the acting, you're in the music industry, you do stand-up comedy, you've brought out your album, your next album is on the way. What motivates you? Because I'm sure there must have been days where you thought, oh, now I have to move again. Or, oh, I have this boatload of work. What motivates you in the morning when you wake up to say, I'm going to crush this day. I'm going to get this done.
I always felt like I was meant to do something.
Mm.
Um, my dad said months ago, when I was finishing the album, he was praising me and talking about how proud I was that I stuck with it, and that I've gotten this far, and that I'm working, on something that is a dream of mine. He said that he never really grew up having dreams. He just kind of, went with the flow of whatever life was bringing, and never. He said, even now, I never really had, any major dreams of things I wanted to accomplish, and I always felt like I just always had this weird gut feeling that I was meant to do more. And because I'm so ADD, I can't sit still. And even like, yeah, I do have my downtime, and I'm thankful for that, to be able to decompress. But even at that time, my brain, I'm driving to the store yesterday, and um I'm listening to songs on my phone, and um other people's music, and certain things inspire or bring up ideas, and my brain's like, okay, well, what about this and what about that? Um so it's like it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
When I go to bed, I'm a night owl, so I go upstairs, go to bed, it's like 1 in the morning, and I lay down, and I probably 90% of this album was written at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm in bed, because
Yeah.
everything is quiet, and I'm laying there, and I'm like, oh, here's an idea for this. And I get my phone out and I start writing, and then it just, 1 o'clock turns into 3 o'clock, and I've written something. So I guess the motivation is just there's a mountain,
Mm.
and I look at the mountain from the base, and I'm like, I can get up there.
Yeah.
And it may be tiresome, it may be hard, it may be long, but at the end of, and it may take a couple of hours, it may take a couple of days, but at the end of it all, I know that I'm going to get to the top of that mountain,
Mhm.
because I can't, once I set my mind to something, I can't undo that.
Mhm.
So I just, I don't know, it's just the way my brain works. Plus, I want to show my kid, you know, that you set your mind to something, this is doable.
Mhm.
Um, I was on Grey's Anatomy years ago. It was like 2011, I think. Um, and it was one of the first major TV shows. I think it was the first major TV show that I'd ever
Yeah.
done. And growing up, and I was in the drama club in high school. I did theater in college and all of that. Um, I always thought that the actors that I saw on TV were doing something that was so different and so so much more better and so just something. I thought there was something magical that they were doing that I had to figure out how to do to get to that level. And I was on the set and we were working late. It was 11, 12 o'clock by the time I left. But I'm watching the main cast. I and I'm watching them shoot, and I'm watching them. They've all got their scripts in their back pockets, and they're learning certain lines, right then and there, and they're shooting scenes, and then they go sit down. And when I left, it was like 12:30. I'm heading home, and I thought about it, and I was like, they're not doing anything different than what I've done. They're just in a position to be able to do that to the large masses of the public. Like, them as people are no different than I am. They just have the opportunity. They fell into a spot where they got the opportunity and the door where opportunity meets hard work, and they got there.
Beautiful.
But and even now I look at some of the old school hip hop artists through social media, and I look and I'm like, he's not doing anything different. There's a hip hop artist, I don't remember his name right off the cuff right now, and I'm mad that I can't remember his name, but he had posted on Instagram a couple weeks ago. Damn, I can't remember who it was. It's somebody that I listened to. But he just released an album called Two Sides to Every Story. And I laughed because that was the name of the album that I released in 2005.
Oh.
And so again, these other individuals are doing nothing different than what I'm doing. So if they can do it, my brain is like,
yeah,
you can too, because we're all just people.
Yeah, beautiful. That's the truth.
So
I've met so many incredible actors, martial artists, stuntmen, and every time I meet them, you know what I think to myself? These are amazing human beings, and they're so humble, and they all echo what you say. They just work hard, and they are just like other people. They're making their mark out there in the world. And it's all in the hard work and staying true to your vision and your mission. You know, the first time that Meticulous started, I interviewed someone from the US Army. And so the topics of gratitude, leadership, community upliftment all weave this amazing network together, the Meticulous audience, the Meticulous network. And I have to say, the people that work hard, the people that realize what you have just vocalized to the audience, that the people that realize that you can do it, those are the people that make it. Those are the people that really go out and actually do it because they believe that they can. They just decided they're going to work hard, they're going to follow their passion, and they can do it. Because at the end of the day, like you've mentioned, we've all got something unique. We've all got something special to add to the world. And that's so beautiful when I look out there on social media and I see the people flourishing. You know, when I listen to the music that you've sent, when I watch a martial artist doing a video and they are enjoying, you know, that moment when they do that roundhouse kick or it makes life beautiful. Everybody has such a special purpose, and I agree with you. You definitely have something to do out there. You have been blessed with this plan. You have been blessed with this destiny. I believe in that. And I want to ask you, you know, you're busy. You work every single day. You're a night owl. You write in the morning hours. You've been on those movie sets till what time at night on Grey's Anatomy, other sets as well. What is a perfect day for you? If you had to sit back and say, okay, I get to choose tomorrow, this is what I'm going to do. What would be the perfect day? How would you want to spend that day?
Perfect day. That is a loaded question. Perfect day. Oddly enough, um, I'm gonna have to copy. I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna have to copy what Ludacris is doing right now. And I saw it on Instagram. He's doing a tour right now, so he's traveling. He's on stage doing shows, but at the same time, Fast X just came out, and so he's in one day he did a show in one country, flew back. I think he flew to Rome because they were premiering it there. Flew to Rome, did the red carpet event with the movie, did left the next day and flew back to another country to rejoin his own tour.
Oh,
I I think something like that for me would
yeah.
be a perfect day. I love being on stage. There's, even as a kid, I was always, we had a stage when I was in high school and I'd get on stage and just kind of act a fool or whatever. And I always just like the audience. I liked the eyes on me. So I love being on stage. I love performing in front of an audience. I love, I would love to be able to do a red carpet event where people are clapping and screaming and yelling, and you're like, yo, that's all for
Yeah.
me. Like, there's 300,000 people in this audience screaming for me. Like, there's a certain joy that I find in that. So to be able to do that and then leave and get on a plane and go do a movie premiere
Mm.
and get that same kind of response from people on a red carpet, and then to go see a movie that you've taken a couple of years to do, that to me, to give back to the fans, like there I find a joy in that. I've got merch right now, and I've sent out hoodies and t-shirts to people that have purchased the album, downloaded it, whatever, and the thank yous that I get, and just the look on their faces, like there's just something about that for me that I enjoy. So a perfect day
Beautiful.
would be to get up, go have breakfast at any kind of pastry shop, because I'm bad with pastries and donuts and croissants and all of that. But to go just pick out for a morning, get on a private plane, fly to a country, do a movie premiere in, say, Korea, and know that I got to fly the next day to Australia to go do a show. Like, that would be, as a lot of people would find that tiring, but I would be so energetic
Oh, yeah.
through the whole, like, I get excited when I get to do shows
Yeah.
and get to get on stage. It just there's a certain adrenaline rush for it for me. So that to go through that day, and yeah, I'd probably sleep on the plane because I get motion sickness. So,
You'd get your rest
but to
there.
have that kind but to kind of have that kind of day and to do that kind of run-in and wardrobe, do the stage show, do the movie premiere, go back to the hotel, and yeah, you might want to crash out, but I'd lay there in bed and be like, I just was in two different countries within 48 hours, and I did both of the things that I love to do,
Wow.
and I got paid for it. Like, there's something just over the moon about doing something like that. And so for me, that would be that would be a perfect day.
Wow. I think that perfect day must go on your vision board. And then I want feedback when that day has happened. I want you back here on Meticulous to
Definitely.
tell everyone how that went, right?
Definitely. Definitely.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's so lovely to hear your story, to hear your heart. You're a very, very intelligent individual. and you're always busy with something. And, as you drive and you listen to this music and the ideas flow in, also through the experiences that we have, there's wisdom that comes through. We learn lessons and we make that a part of us, and we help that to shape our character. And I want to ask you, as we close this session and this lovely discussion, do you have any words of wisdom for the audience that you want to leave them with?
Go big or go home.
Yes.
We only get one shot at life. And I was always told, and even my ex-wife said, she's like, you don't know how to do things on a small level. And it just wasn't, it wasn't her fit. But that's just who I am. I would rather swing and miss 2,000 times than not try at all. So if I got to say anything to anybody out there, if there's anything that you wanted to do, I've met so many people that are like, I want to go, I want to travel to this country. Okay, so do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't because of work and this and that. Yo, stash away $50 a month, even if it takes you 3 years. Stash away some money and take the vacation. So whatever, if there's something that you want to do, whether it's professional, personal, travel wise, if you've got a skill, anything in life that you want to do, find a way to just go do it. If it, like I said, if it works, it's either going to work or it's going to be a fun story to tell. I have failed at many things. There's a lot of things in life that I am not good at, and I know that. But for me, it's a fun story to tell. First time I had to figure out how to change a tire. Now, my dad taught me when I was a kid, and I did it in the driveway on a car that was running and was fine. But it's a different kind of situation when you're on the side of a freeway and you're forced to do it because the car, you're stuck. And it was the longest process in the world. And I was tired. I was hot. Some things broke, and it was just terrible. I had to call AAA, whatever. But it was a fun, I turned it into fun stories to tell because there's a lot of things in life that I'm not good at. And we're all terrible at a lot of things. But if there is something that you're good at, or if there's something that you want to do, or somewhere you want to go, do it. Because it's not that life is short, but death is long. That's permanent.
Oh, that's a good
And I made a post probably 6 or 7 months ago. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
That's
you can't take it with you. So whatever you want to do in this life, because nothing is, we see actors, I mean, if you look on, CNBC, Google, Yahoo, any platform now, there's always at least one article damn near every day about somebody passing away at early ages. The kid from I think it was from All My Children or General Hospital, died at 48. There was another singer that just passed away within the same week at 48. We lose people every day, whether they're in the spotlight or family members, friends. People die every day. That's they say getting a job as a mortician because folks are going to die every day. So while you're here, and the biggest mistake that we always make, there's a song on my album called Borrowed Time. It's about a kid that goes through his day, a man that goes through his day. He wakes up in the morning. There's a letter on his dresser from God. And God tells him, you've been a great man. So I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to give you the gift of telling you you have 24 hours to live. The countdown begins when you finish this letter. And it goes through, what would you do If you knew you
Mm.
had 24, the biggest mistake we always make is thinking that we have time. Oh, I'll do it later. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it next week. Tomorrow may not come. Next week may not come.
Mm.
And so that song goes into the details of what would you do if you knew you had 20 years to live?
Yeah.
How would you spend knowing that that's your last day? How would you spend that time?
Very.
So to anybody, to all the viewers, listeners, whatnot, if there's something in life that you want to do, go do it.
Do it.
Because when it's all said and done, however it's my time to go tomorrow, next week, whether I live to be 60, 80, or 100, I don't want to, if it's up to me and I get to die, pass away peacefully in a bed, I don't want to think, damn, I should have did this.
Mm.
Damn, I should have did that. I should have told her how I felt. I should have told him how I felt. I should have, told my daughter I loved her more. Like, you don't want to have regrets.
No.
So if there's something that you want to do, somewhere you want to go, something you want to say, do it. Because you might not have that opportunity tomorrow.
That's the truth. That is impeccable advice. Meticulous Moments audience, I'm here with Methodical Joe, and he just told us go big or go home. So do those things that he described. Live your life. Live every single day to the fullest. Have fun. Have, enjoyable times. Laugh at yourself. I make a point not to take myself too seriously. I laugh if I do silly
You
things.
can't.
No,
I am
because
not
life,
going to have a heart attack because there's no milk in my Cheerios. Like,
that's it.
I can't.
Yeah. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It was such a lovely conversation, and we appreciate you and everything that you're doing out there, and your music speaks to people. If there's one thing that has helped me through so many things in my life, all the events that I've gone through, the traumatic events, even the good ones, it was music. And music really helps us. It carries us. Whatever kind of music the audience listens, I would like to invite them to listen to the tracks that we're going to make available, get in contact with our wonderful guest and follow him. And we'll come back here after the release of the second album, and we'll catch up and see how that perfect day went. We'll get some feedback, because as we are speaking, we are manifesting. So there's a lot of things
Right.
going to happen. And thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bless you and keep shining.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I very much appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.
Okay.